Welcome back to Phase 2, everybody. I'm Jackie Jing and very excited to be with Fresh and Laxine. We just wrapped up our halftime show, so I gotta ask, most annoying team or player? I want your thoughts.
Most annoying team for me, definitely these guys. OXG.
Why?
Back when I was on G2 in 2020,
Why? You're so
we would go to the Six Invitational. These guys, whilst you're practicing, we had them in the same group. They were reciprocity at the time. Kick the door down. Yo, guys, is your game working? Trying to see what we was practicing.
Listen, we just wanted to make sure that you guys were struggling just as much as we were.
Fair enough.
It was nothing personal. Maybe we were trying to see whose cam was up or whose VODs were up, but
I see.
That's neither here or there anymore. We're on the same team now.
We're on the same
team now.
Annoying
okay.
team for me.
Yes.
DZ. So annoying. The drone play that they had throughout the years of me playing pissed me off. I couldn't stand it. 1 second I'm being pinged. I go in the next room, I'm being pinged. I go outside the map, I'm being pinged. Maybe that was just the default ping because I stayed out there a little too long, but still DZ, most annoying team in terms of drone placement.
Okay, well, you know what's not annoying? That adorable plushie. I'm loving those. But as you can see, our teams are getting ready into position. We have Wolves versus Soniqs. This is the EUNA showdown that we have been waiting for. And the Wolves, frankly, looking to redeem themselves. I don't want to be too harsh there, but to be honest, Fresh,
Yes.
it was not a blissful group for them. Did you catch that?
See what you did there, Jackie?
Catch
I like that.
See what you
That was
did there.
good.
Okay. Yeah. Let's chat about that a little bit more. You were telling me earlier that you think that they should have beaten the Wolves twice.
Yeah, they should have done. I think realistically we should be sat here looking at Team Bliss.
Okay.
Wolves are very, very fortunate to be getting through in that best of three, to be getting through to the Swiss stage. Now, they did it. And that's all that I will say. They didn't look great. I know that they were not happy within their own performance in their playing stage. They lost to Bliss once, and they went all the way to max OT in the third map of map 3 to actually get through to the playing stage, and they just about got it done. Now, that's not good enough for a team that we expected in EU would be competing for this competition, would be going deep in this competition, and the Wolves that we know that has gone deep at previous competitions. So they really need to buckle up.
And you don't want to write off Bliss, though, right? Because a lot of people did, and they clearly were putting up the performance against these teams and really showing why they deserve to be here, where a lot of people might have been like, oh, Bliss doesn't deserve to be here. They're going to be out right away. And it was very close that this easily could have been a Bliss versus Soniqs situation. So, I mean, it's really, you just got to take it from Wolves here, is like whether you were sleeping on Bliss or Bliss actually was just really putting up performance, you got to come in going against a team like Soniqs.
Yeah, and we're chatting about the play-ins right now, but I do want to focus on what we have seen here today. We're going to try to pull up the bracket here, but Fresh, just break it all down for me, because it's been a lot, especially that last one we saw.
Yeah, it's been a very quick day filled with upsets. I think, we started off with D+ going up against Lost. Big upset there. Nobody expected D+ to come away with that win. G2 dominated Scars. BDS dominated SSG. And then perhaps the biggest upset of the day that nobody saw coming, nobody at all, was GK getting it done against W7M in that very final fixture of the first half.
I mean, I was surprised on a Clubhouse, too, and how GK was actually playing against W7M is what really impressed me the most, is because Brazilian teams love getting in your face. They love not giving you map control. They give you an ounce, and they'll just fight for it immediately, and GK played it perfectly. They let W7M get a little overzealous on those early rounds, and they would get those man advantages, and then you would see them just play together and collapse on W7M, and you could see W7M looked scared in some of those rounds. They kind of looked discombobulated, and for a lot of us fans and people that know W7M, that's not the W7M you're used to seeing.
Okay, but let's refocus on this matchup that we have right now. Soniqs versus Wolves, and you were kind of beating up on Wolves a little bit when we were chatting earlier.
Yeah.
But you were kind of coming to their defense. I want you to explain that a little bit more. We were chatting earlier. I mean, Bibu, there is experience. Mowgli, exceptional fragger. How do they bounce back?
I mean, when we got a team like they have, they all bounce off each other. They all need each other to be on each other's backs and to make sure everyone's, falling into place and performing really well overall. And, sure, you might have had that game against Bliss. Like I said, I don't want to write off Bliss, but you got to take from that learning experience of why those games were so close, why those rounds went the way they did, and you got to fix that going forward and throughout the rest of this bracket.
The one thing that Wolves are generally very good at is they do operate like a pack of wolves. It's a very cliche thing.
I like that.
But they operate as one unit generally. Mowgli kind of gets a lot of freedom, and the remaining 4 players operate as one unit, everything together, everything at once. I would call them kind of a rush chaos-based team because they're very aggressive, but their 3-2-1s are spectacularly good. They need to leverage that because that is absolutely their biggest strength.
And I believe we're actually ready for map bans. We're going to work to bring that information up on your screen right now.
Another Nighthaven.
Okay. Thoughts? I'll put you in the hot seat first.
Well, their defense rating is at a 63%. So they're going to be starting on the attack, which I think the nice thing about starting on attack on some of these maps like Nighthaven, it allows you to get your team in position and get the comms flowing. So that way, when you do switch to that side, and which is obviously their strongest percentage, they should have those comms ready. They should have everything flowing together. So starting attack on that, I can see that benefiting more in their favor.
This is a map that both teams like. You know, we've seen Nighthaven being brought in North America quite a lot. It's in Soniqs' kind of pool of maps that they like, so I'm not surprised to see them want to go there. For Wolves, it's in the pool that they've had a low preference on it, but it looks like they've brought it in for this tournament as well. So I think we've got quite a good battleground here between the two teams. North America seems to have a very good grip on this map. So I think who's won the map veto just about, I would say, I think Soniqs.
If you do the math, I mean, Soniqs has really shown a lot on Nighthaven specifically and how they play it differently against some teams. So I am genuinely curious to see, you know, the VOD review for both these teams to see how they're going to counter each other, see what they're going to implement to maybe, you know, throw the team off, whether to get that extra round or whatever that's going to look like. I think this map is really going to be a close one overall.
Okay, Gabe, this is our first desk together.
Yeah,
by the
I
way.
know.
It's so fun. So do you like predictions or no?
I'm cool with predictions.
Okay. Some
Jesse
analysts don't like doing
Jesse
predictions.
likes to flip-flop from time to time. You know, he'll say something and then, you know.
Are you a fencer? Or are you actually going to give a prediction?
Yeah, I'll give a prediction.
Okay, go.
I'll say.
Who's winning?
I got Soniqs winning this 7-3. They're going to win their defense half and then shut it out on attack.
Okay, that was very specific. Usually I just get a name, but okay.
Yep, I've got Soniqs winning this as well. I think they will target Mowgli. I think they will get the entry pick quite often up against Mowgli. They will find where he is solo, and Soniqs can win that 5v4 from there. I'm going to go 7-4.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay, I like those predictions. You all were watching the halftime show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gunnar was like, embrace being the short kings. Well, I'm about to toss to two of my favorite short kings. Des and Ace, take it away.
There's too much chat about short kings going on today, Jackie.
I'm on a box. I can't really say anything. Thank you, Jackie. We appreciate you as always. It's always lovely to hear you on the other end.
It was. She was dying for a coffee this morning when I saw her. A bit low energy. And now she's on energy, she's had a coffee. She's just like, oh, it's Jackie time. And here she is. But it's also time for a hell of a game. We were looking earlier and saying, realistically, every single game today is an absolute banger. This one just feels a little bit special. Soniqs coming up against Wolves on Nighthaven. Favourite map to cast at the minute. Really excited to see if Wolves can have a bit of recovery of form of what we saw back during play-ins. And equally, Soniqs are here to show what they're all about. Terrifying when they're on form. Really hard game to call, but the desk, as you heard, mostly going towards Soniqs, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. All I keep hearing about, particularly from the NA guys, is Soniqs, they're on the up, they're on this trend, they're getting better and better. Soniqs. So I'm really excited to see them play. I'm hoping that they can deliver the best. I'm hoping that we can really see what they've got bringing into this tournament. I think they're going to be very good. They were one of my teams to watch coming in here. So yeah, I've got high hopes for the Soniqs. And Wolves, kind of Wolves. Are we going to get the best Wolves? Are we going to get the not so good Wolves? Who knows? They can always be a little bit roll of the dice, but we know that they have got a very high level of siege that they can deliver. So let's hope that both teams throw in their best and we have an absolute classic to kick off our second two games of the day.
We've already had some fun with GK beating out W7M potential winners, which really just feels like anything is up in the air. In the same way D+ beat Lost, for example, earlier. It's just a day of madness. An ace ban coming through here. Good ban, I think, given the popularity of that operator, especially for fraggers who want to help with a little bit of utility, getting walls opened up, and then just run around and frag everything.
Continue that on with a Frost ban and a Frost and a Bandit ban. Mixing things up a bit here.
Interesting.
Certainly operators that we don't see disappearing too much.
The Bandit, I get
Bandit
it.
makes sense.
You've seen a lot of electrification on towards connector walls. You've seen electrification on towards IT walls. Just generally quite effective on that top floor, I think, which should make it a little more susceptible to attackers. Getting walls opened up, really, no questions asked. It will leave that thermite open. We had this banned away earlier in the game between G2 and Scars. It being online here, things like connector wall, things like IT wall will be opened up. Absolutely no bother at all. Well, here we go for round one, Tim. We are heading into control and storage. Not normally the go-to starting site here on Nighthaven.
No, it's not. I've seen kitchen once or twice, so seeing the mid-floor to kick things off isn't necessarily too unusual, but as you say, control storage is a little bit of a different one. But we will see what the Sonics do with it. They're going to be straight away working bit of utility into warehouse, reinforcing those exterior walls. Not too much of a surprise. Looking to hold on to IT potentially. That gives you some of the verticality down into storage, but also access into the catwalk. A lot of verticality can be played on this site, so I would expect to see Wolves having to go in. They might go from the sort of more meeting connector side, try and get themselves in, get across that top floor and get a few kills, force Soniqs back down to site.
Yeah, and fully reinforcing off server here as well, so not looking to play inside of the connector extension. Often teams will here on the top floor. And in case you're wondering, well, why play on the top floor? Tim's already made a good point around the vertical, but it's also normally because the sites themselves aren't very defendable laterally, i.e. playing on the same floor with an external facing window, for example. With Garage being relatively easy to open up and start getting control into both sites simultaneously, the best thing you can do is force that vertical play and make the attackers come and push into you. They'll have to get the top floor cleared out first, force those defenders away, and then make use of that vertical to start hitting the site itself.
Looks like they're going a little bit more direct towards that top floor hold. I suggested we might see a bit of a push across from the top side of the map, but instead just opening up the warehouse door, opening up the IT wall and looking to kind of go route one in towards that top floor defense. They've got Citizen on the Solis up top. We know how good of a gunner Citizen can be, so he's going to be difficult to dislodge out of there. He's backed up by another gunner, quite literally, with gunner on Aqua Stairs as well. So there's a couple of difficult sort of power positions that Wolves are going to have to deal with here before they can even consider anything about site itself.
One thing to note as well is Soniqs got that second exothermic off and deployed. They'll be in a spot to really just treat him as a free gun and do with him whatever they please. Gunner in a good spot, knows that someone is coming up through top Aqua. It's the IQ coming along here from P4. Two of them actually grouping up together here and starting their march on forwards. Right sort of idea, Mowgli. Just very unfortunate to not lose his life there. Instead, Gunner is going to pick off P4. He's probably asking, how the hell did you walk through alive, but not me?
Absolutely beautiful shot from Gunner there, just around the side of that Kiba barricade, picks himself up a beautiful opener, and it's just going to help keep some of that utility alive as well. Citizen's going to get dealt with through the soft wall though, as Morgan manages to pick one up. 4 versus 4, Nitro goes out, does not connect, and Wolves can continue sweeping across the top floor. They've been able to force Gunner out, but not Grixer, who manages to pick one up before escaping away into Electrical.
Geo behind.
So this is actually pretty good for Soniqs at the minute, although, as I say that, Deadshot manages to pick up Geo.
He did, yeah. Just saw Geo coming up Aqua Stairs behind them all there, worked his way up through sight and decided to come for the flank and almost got away with it, but Deadshot was just ready. It's taken Wolves a long time to get this top floor control, and it's still not fully theirs because you've still got Grixer lurking off towards one side. So Wolves are really forced here to only be able to get vertical control over control itself. Storage, for now at least, still remains relatively protected. Just got to be very mindful now of the fact that Bibbo's managed to sneak his way inside of IT. I just can't help but wonder, will Grixer strike?
That's the thing, so much time and utility used to get control of that top floor. The question is,
there he is.
The time left, 14 seconds left to go. Grixer above. We're having to see a pickup from Deadshot onto Shinka. That leaves them now 2 versus 2, 7 seconds. They've no choice but to try and throw this down. And Grixer and Rexon above are just going to pick them up one at a time. Deadshot, he's trying to battle, but nothing he can do. That's going to be the opening round for Soniqs. Nice defense there.
Again, for me, the two things in that round that really looked to be the sort of spin on the dime moments was the flank coming out from Deadshot up Deadshot watching Aqua Stairs and getting rid of Geo, or it was Grixer going largely ignored inside of Electric. Once he actually got that march through later in the round when he realized an execute was beginning and got the kill, all the hard work that Wolves had done to get top floor control completely lost and instead turned against him completely. You saw him watching those last couple of players try to come running through, had the vertical on the door, sure he whiffed it a little bit, but Deadshot, he didn't have enough time. It was a 2 versus 1, and Wolves again had taken a good 2 minutes and 20 seconds to establish full top floor control. A little bit slow on their side, but well played by Soniqs for putting up quite a good fight that clearly left the French side a little bit rattling.
We're going to be heading down to the basement level then. Pretty standard setup, double wall reinforced, mirror window looking onto it. Going to make it tough. They're going to have to look after Exo, and as I say that, we're going to have Rexon playing a mirror window into there as well, which makes perfect sense. So, yeah, again, there's going to be I don't know about a top floor presence. We might see somebody all the way up there, but there's certainly going to be a vertical presence above site. We've got Geo up there at the minute reinforcing walls, so I would expect if utilities going in there, there will be at least Mist and Operator up there as well to support. Gunner's playing around that mid floor, so again, you're going to need a full map clearance here from Wolves. And last time around, I think this is great for Soniqs to do this, because last time around it took Wolves 2.5 minutes to get that job done. Wasted so much time. Soniqs just leaning into that.
Problem is here, they won't be able to execute unless they've got control inside of storage. It's all good getting these walls opened up, but now you start asking questions of the other members on walls to get above and force these players out. Exactly where Gunner is playing now. He can open up some verticals down onto that wall below and just spray them as soon as they try to go in for the execute. So they need control on the ground floor as well, but I don't really see anyone from walls looking to make movements into that part of the map just yet.
No, if you're going to try and just force your way in through that wall, you got to do it quickly, because otherwise, as you say, they're just going to end up prepped. Gunner manages to get one, picks up Mowgli. That's 2 entries in 2 rounds for him, so Soniqs starting that element of the game very well, effectively playing the last 2 rounds, 5 versus 4 in that case. Deadshot, he's going to move himself on into kitchen for the time being. Just P4 catching a goo mine as well, and that's just going to, again, give more intel over to Soniqs. They're looking pretty comfortable at this point. We can see from the silhouettes, still up on top floor, still up on mid floor, happy to just keep themselves out in the map for now.
You've got P4 and Deadshot working their way across from Cafe side across towards storage, being spotted out by Grixer entirely. So I think Rexon, who's maybe digging around, Geo's sat above as well. They've got so many options to try and catch them out here, and sure enough, a C4 coming on through, almost got away with it, but Grixer getting in a kill onto Deadshot. Off the back of a second kill, it just feels like Wolves are moving so slow that Soniqs have got all the time in the world to have a game of chess, make a cup of coffee, and then decide, okay, maybe now we should kill them as they're getting towards a dangerous part of the map. But we need to see more ferocity from Wolves. It looks a bit incomplete in terms of their map clear. You've still got Geo positioned above, who's going to murder them both in a minute when they come marching on through. It just looks very easy right now for Soniqs.
I love that team play from Grixer and Citizen. That was absolutely brilliant. Grixer manages to pick up another one. I'll come back to that point after they finish the flawless round. Yeah, Grixer and Citizen. So Grixer is on the pulse, and he's just feeding that information into Citizen on the Legion, who's able to go up the stairs. He knows when the fight's coming because the heartbeat sensor's picking them up, takes the fight, pre-fires it, and then Grixer's even got his back for when the second man tries to challenge him. It was just great play as a duo from the pair of them. Soniqs looking, I was going to say in the driving seat, but beyond that, they're in complete command in the first 2 rounds.
And again, a lot of this I could bring down to, sure, Soniqs is playing this by the book. They're doing this exactly the way that they should be. But for me on Wolves, it's the pace at which they're playing. You know, 75 seconds to open up Animus, open up Assembly. What are the other 3 players doing during that time? The answer was not an awful lot. They just started getting set up around lobby, started to look to push inside a kitchen, for example. That play probably could have been going on much, much sooner. Even having someone on a storage window just to threaten the Solus that was sat inside of there would have been something, but it's been very passive so far. I expect if this round goes the same way, we'll see that 3-round timeout that we often see when teams are down 0 and 3, and I imagine Lilium will have a few words then to say, guys, where's the pace? Where's the energy? Where's all the things that we've spoken about and learned during play-ins? We've got to see it start coming out here and now, or we're doomed. We're going to be 0-1.
Up to the top floor, Soniqs go to complete their 3-round rotation. Going to be command center and server this time around. Trying to deal with...
I mean, those drones, they've got to die, Tim. They've got to die.
Well, the thing is, they get into the ferns back there on Aqua Stairs, and they can be pretty difficult to pick out, but can feed really critical information. You know, we saw in the first round when Wolves were trying to push into the top floor, they used the top of Aqua Stairs, so trying to make sure that you can keep somebody in there without that permanent information on them is, of course, important.
Alrighty, well again, pace is going to be the name of the game. The beauty of attacking top floor is, unlike defending things like control and storage, you've only got really 1 floor of the map to worry about. Maybe some vertical play from below with C4s also to concern yourself with, but as you can see from all these wonderful blue outlines, everyone is playing upstairs. Mowgli in a good spot here to get underneath these sites and start fishing with those frag grenades, but needs to be doing it with a little bit of pace. Got to get this wall opened up inside of IT, for example. Got to worry about putting some pressure inside of Aqua. Probably really need to look at getting connector opened up as well. So 60 seconds in, we're finally seeing something being opened up here. Keep that pace going, Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves did this last time. They opened up IT when they were trying to clear top floor. They haven't attacked this actual site yet, but when they were trying to clear across top floor, they opened up IT, but they didn't really do anything with it. They just sort of left it there as phantom pressure. So I'm interested to see as the round progresses whether Shinka does drop back down and try to move through there, hold any angles, or try to actually create any sort of realistic opportunity from that breach or not. Mowgli is going to head up the Aqua Stairs. He's going to be met with a clash at the top of there. Nade out in hand. Don't think he's going to catch him as the clash dashes back. Manages to find a little bit of safety. Backed up by Rexon as well. So Wolves just need to be careful that they don't overcommit there, or they could be losing somebody quickly.
That's the first entry they found as well, with Mowgli finding Citizen, so a good start. Still, these armies, Kivas, really being a little bit of a headache. They're slowly chewing their way through the nades that they've got. In fact, no frags left on side now. And Gio's just going to sit here and frankly just stare at them, give him a little tickle with the electric zapping that's going to keep them at bay, but Wolves need to find a way to march on forwards here. I'm just concerned without any frags on side, they're screwed here.
This is it, we've already spoken about Wolves and time. Look at this, could there be a second? This certainly could. Absolute beauty from Gunnar, manages to find himself an important double. Not only is it 2 kills, not only does it get them the man advantage back, it also forces the Binker back.
Oh my.
Going to be another death there as the Toxic Babe goes out, and that's going to leave them 3 versus 2. They did lose the clash along the way, but I think they'll trade that for the triple from Gunnar.
They're focused so hard on top Aqua that Gunner's been able to do whatever he wants below. You know, Mowgli was in there earlier on, but they really condensed themselves around Aqua, and they paid the price with Gunnar coming up from behind and getting a 3K in the round. Again, beautiful play by Soniqs, but Wolves are letting so much go by the wayside here. Absolute deletion coming out of that round, and that's what, 3-0 now? Wolves have really got to see something come.
Again, you know, the issue there for me for Wolves was...
Fresh wants to speak. Go on, Fresh.
Le trade, c'est pas grave, mais là on perd aussi Jimmy en fait. C'est ça qui me donne.
You can't hear me?
I can now.
You can hear me now?
Now we can hear you, mate. Go on.
Go on,
so,
go again.
Nighthaven Labs, this is what I wanted to say. It's lucky they're taking a bit of a time. Nighthaven Labs is normally considered a very attacker-sided map. Now, obviously, Soniqs have gone 3-0 up on the defense. Now, that's due to the bans. If you look at the bans, there's a Bandit ban and a Frost ban. That means that so many power operators are available. You've got Solace, you've got Azami, you've got Valkyrie, you've got Fenrir, you've got Clash, you've got Mira. All of these powerful operators, Soniqs are using to force Wolves into problem solving. And then when Wolves are trying to create a solution to solve those problems, Soniqs are reacting to that, hitting them with flanks, hitting them with other problems, and Wolves just have absolutely no answer to it. So if I was Wolves now, what I would be looking to do is try and keep things as simple as possible, and maybe go to kind of point of least resistance siege, try and take more of a direct route, maybe try a couple of rushes, because their default attacks on this map are not working so far.
Thank you very much, Fresh. And I largely agree with him, as we've said. You know, we've seen them really coalescing everything around a particular point, like Aqua, and just being stabbed in the back. And if you want to stack 3 or 4 players in a given area of the map, get some drones to below to support you. Heck, send anyone below, because the biggest thing that I've seen across those first 3 rounds is Soniqs using all 3 floors of the map. Wolves really are attacking on only one, and they're paying the price.
Yeah, it's exactly the same point as I was going to make, really, was they got completely held up by that clash. Even before Gunnar stabbed them in the back, it was still 30 seconds nearly of just looking at the clash, throwing a couple of nades in, not really getting anything done about it, and just being completely held up. When Wolves are coming up to these sort of roadblocks, they don't have answers at the minute. They don't have a path around it, and that's something that Soniqs can lean into by bringing the traps, bringing the Legion, bringing the Solace as well, bringing the Fenrir, bringing the Valkyrie play into that information, and again, just create as many problems for Wolves to solve as possible, because right now, they're not working through them very quickly.
Absolutely. Well, same as before, we saw this back in round 1 of the control storage defense. It was about getting that top floor control, using the verticals to then execute downstairs. But they ignored Grixer, who found himself inside of electrical and just very comfortably took a few players out once that they tried to execute on site itself, and it was all too easy to play around those verticals. So for Wolves, I want to see them really make sure they've clean swept this top floor, not just pushed a couple of players away, but you've actually gone after them, or at the very least, guaranteed they're not going to catch you by surprise.
Shinka's going to get himself inside of Connector. That's going to give them an opportunity to breach.
They drop hatch and to immediately push back up Aqua stairs. They want to refight top floor.
They do. They're not going to be forced away. They're just going to fight on their own terms. Gunnar maybe just going to come head-to-head as well. Might have his opportunity for an opener again. We've only seen Wolves get 1 out of 3 so far, so an entry for them would be fantastic. But nearly 2 minutes in, it's going to be coming very late in the round. Look at all this information coming in from the Valkyrie cams. This is exactly what we've been talking about, and it's another problem that Wolves haven't really solved.
Absolutely not. They're about to get stung by this as well. You've also got Gio, who's been lurking his way up towards reception. Sorry, he could very well strike here. A 1-for-1 back between the two teams. And here's Deadshot coming on his way up. Gio, I think he gone looking in towards side, trying to find his man, but Deadshot are giving the ring around the roses, working his way back through Electric. Grix up to 5-0, makes it 6 by getting a vertical kill onto Deadshot. A 3v2 for Wolves though, Tim. My concern here is the time. There's only 20 seconds left.
There's only 20 seconds left, and they are again playing in towards control and storage, and I don't think they're confident as to that last player's position. Rexon manages to get one. He's going to come round for a second. It's Grixer onto the flank, and they've nothing to do but to try and hold on to this plant. They don't know exactly where it's going down, but
it times out. Shinka just going to hold down F. Rexon going to clean him up. No problem at all.
There's going to be the final kill then. Wrexham picks it up, and Soniqs continue unbeaten so far on Nighthaven Labs. 4-0 Wolves really slipping behind here, and it's not, you know, you don't always, as we say, there's two halves, you know, they're going to have an opportunity themselves when they move on to defence, but the problem is the further they get behind, the more difficult it's going to be to bring it back. Even from a 5-1, Wolves then need to have a near perfect half to get themselves to overtime. It's going to start getting very, very difficult, especially when you see the scoreboard. You've got players like Grixer on 7-1. He's just unstoppable at the minute.
Talking a little bit there. Can't hear too much coming out of the team, but this is the Wolves tack time out, unsurprisingly. Being down 4-0 does mean you need that time to have a conversation.
All we gotta do is just keep the confidence up and keep playing our game, bro. Don't let off.
Calm and together, bro.
Yeah.
Calm and together. It was kind of the story that we had about.
And I think that sums them up really well, actually, for the way that they've played. You know,
well, the irony is,
players, you can see it. You know, they're chill.
The irony is they're not playing together. They're actually playing quite spread out across the map. You've got a couple of pairings every now and then forming together, but like Gio in that last round, off entirely by himself towards lobby, came his way up through meeting stairs, and then did get caught out by Deadshot. But for the most part, you're not seeing them playing these pairings. It is much more about the individuality of being able to go out there and win gunfights and catching, frankly, Wolves who were just completely unaware as to what's going on. Look here, look, 5 drones left alive in the top right corner of your screen. The fact that he's managed to work his way through control and just beam the man who's meant to be covering the planter, it tells the whole story, really. It's got to be better from Wolves. We've got to see more composure. It is beautiful. I agree with you, Richie. They are playing extremely well. But I think, again, like G2 against Scars, we haven't really had to see Soniqs get out of second.
No, we haven't.
Yet.
In reality, you know, there's plenty more to come from this Soniqs team. Whether Wolves are going to force them to show it or not, time will tell. I love the way that today has gone so far. I was just thinking back through the results that we've had. You know, we've had great results and great performances out of some of the Phase 1 teams. I'm thinking GK and G2 both doing very, very well. We've then had great performances out of new teams that have come in Phase 2. Soniqs looking fantastic at the minute, D+ as well. It's been a really sort of mixed bag in terms of who's done the best. You know, we often look at the mentality of it. Do you want those games under your belt? Do you want to be sort of coming in already prepped, or do you want to be coming in fresh and rested? And there's an argument for both at the minute.
Completely agree. It's there's no clear answer out the back of that study. I think, but it's a 50-50. Here we go again then for Wolves. We saw this previously, I mentioned it last time around. There were 3 players sat doing very little whilst this initial opening of these walls downstairs was going on. You got Gunnar sat on this vertical, like I mentioned last time round, that can see that wall downstairs, can stop any kind of plant attempt coming in. So the question then comes to the rest of Wolves to say, right, we need to force that guy out of storage if we're going to make this one work. But where are they? At the minute, still outside the building. Mowgli's the only one looking to make something happen and marching on through as he so often does. The problem is sometimes Mowgli bites off more than he can chew and just gets shot in the back. Has found one though, but the media... that should have been a guaranteed trade coming in from Citizen, but Mowgli has found 2, and that's a great way to get this round underway for Wolves.
Yeah, that's exactly what Wolves needed, especially on the back of the tack timeout. That's actually the 3rd entry kill in a row for Mowgli as well. So he's at least setting his team up for success. They just haven't been able to sort of finish it off after that point. But 5 versus 3, you start looking and thinking this is a round that they sorely need to take. Grix is going to be taken down from above as well. This is much better from Wolves. They seem to be settling into their game a little bit, using the angles to their advantage and just putting the Soniqs in those more difficult positions where there's no real option but to just fight the fight and hope you win it, and they haven't been able to so far. So
Gio's still on 3rd floor. I think he's starting to get back to sight, my friend. However, Rexon has started off one for himself. Deadshot has the right sort of idea. Oh, finds him with a wonderful shot. No one on side of sight now. Gio's trying to play the vertical. No one, I think, is left up here. They've all dropped down towards sight. As long as you avoid these key locations where you can be seen from the verticals, this is a guaranteed plant, and with that, pretty much a guaranteed round.
Going to drop down, gets himself a nice kill as he does, but it's not going to be enough to stop that diffuser going down. Wolves able to successfully plant.
He hasn't got the vertical.
A much better round from them so far. He's going to have to move on into sight at some point, but he's just trying to pick up maybe another kill before he does. However, Wolves, they've got themselves locked, loaded and ready. They're just waiting on angles here. You can see led prone behind boxes outside of walls. They're just making it as difficult as possible. Gio just taunts them with the first tickle of the diffuser, but it won't be enough. They pop up, Wolves get the kill, and Wolves get their first round.
They do. Really, again, off the back of Mowgli just marching on through and getting a kill there. If he doesn't get that kill and catch 2 players on the first floor, they don't get control of control and storage. Feels weird to say control and storage, but that's exactly what it was. Didn't get control of that, wouldn't have been able to plant, and we'd have been stuck in that same rut that we'd seen for the first few rounds. So big props to Mowgli there for really opening that up.
I think like we should full back from side early. I'm going to give him full kitchen side and then retake the staircase. Now if you see one down a retake on the staircase, we'll just push this guy.
They're not clearing it, they're only clearing mid floor.
They're only clearing mid-floor, is correct. We pointed that out in the first 3 rounds when Gio's been able to lurk entirely on top floor uncontested. This round he wasn't very successful, and previously on the Solus wasn't very successful being caught out by Deadshot, but when he was lurking above Garage, did manage to get himself a pretty comfortable early kill. So let's see if they have used that in this round.
Going to be heading back down to the basement once again then. Soniqs feeling that they can have a much better effort than the one that they just did in round 5. A 5-1 half for Soniqs on the defence. I think they're going to be pretty happy with, as Fresh pointed out to us, you know, often an attacker-favoured site, attacker-favoured map rather, and I think, you know, if Soniqs can get themselves in at the halfway mark 5-1, that's pretty much job done for them, and they can move on probably fairly comfortable that they'll find those 2 rounds that they need to. So Wolves desperately need this one for me. They need to be finding this second successful attack. It'll just give them a good bit of momentum, couple of back-to-back wins, but I like this angle. So playing all the way from up in IT, you can actually open the floor in storage as well, and you can see right down onto the wall. So just having that opportunity there. Gunnar is going to move down into storage, but it's just another option for Soniqs. I love options.
You love options, do you, Tim?
Love it when they set up options.
You love a good buffet then, do you?
I do. Don't just, you know, don't give yourself that one option. Don't just give yourself a chicken drumstick, Des. You know, lay out a couple of other things. Get some vol au vents out there. Get yourself a few choices, some sandwiches maybe, you know?
Tells me a lot about you two when you're talking about getting vol au vents out. I don't even know what that word means.
It's just a little pastry with a bit of food in it, is it?
No idea what you're on about. However, Gunnar, he's figured Mowgli out this time around. No marching through this ground floor and murdering 2 people. Found a little bit of an answer this time around. Obviously with the Jackal track coming on in, spotted upstairs, and it's like, oh great, we've got 3 floors to worry about now. And that's exactly what we heard Soniqs talking about pre-round was, look, we're only really pushing onto the ground floor, like we could play something else, and that top floor once again appears to be the answer. Gio has to be wary as this angle is being held.
Mowgli, you can't really criticise. He's had the last 3 entries, so taking the death there, he was going in with confidence. I've no doubt that he could pick up another one. Citizen is maybe not going to be directly spotted by the drone, but the fact that the drone was destroyed will at least give his location away, so he's kind of hunkering down, getting ready for a fight. Now, Grixer's trying to feed as much information as he can with that heartbeat scanner. They've no idea they're going to lose 1, but not 2. Deadshot manages to get the trade onto Gunnar, but he's now playing directly into a mirror window with somebody. How about that? Shinka manages to find the kill onto Grixer. That's a beautiful long-range effort from him through the double wall, and that might just open things up for Wolves. 3-3 now on the man count.
Really open things up for Deadshot. It's being challenged by the Mirror, who's hanging out towards Nano Hall. They'll probably get stuck into a 1v1 any second now as well when they're done playing left, right, dipping back and forth, but it feels like again for this 3 versus 3. Wolves here are trying to figure out what their next opening is, and Exo, for me at least, was the weaker side temporarily. They pushed their way through from there, but Gio has found one. Absolute kicker, and they miss out onto the Mirror as well. Ah, stinger.
I think Soniqs now, though, are going to know that the remainder are inside of sight itself, and they managed to hit Deadshot with the Nitro. Bibu, he's searching upstairs, can't find Citizen, who finds him first, and that's going to be the 5-1 half secured for Soniqs, and things are looking good for the North American side here on Nighthaven Labs.
Absolutely massive. So for them, just so dominant overall. Really in the second half, we've got to see something more coming back out from Wolves. I know they go on the defensive side here, and arguably they'll feel more comfortable in that spot. It's easier to sit and prep defensive strategies than it is attacking ones where you always have to react to what the defenders are doing. They're going to start things off downstairs in the basement. No surprise at all. We're going to see Solus coming along for Deadshot, because I think as we've seen all day, Tim, the oppression onto the attacker information is so ludicrous whenever Solus is present on the map.
I feel like it's absolutely essential here for Wolves to be winning at least their first 2 defences. They need to show 2 strong sides to kick things off and get it back to 5-3. I feel like if Soniqs are able to take one of the first 2 attacks and get themselves onto that map point, it's probably going to be too big a hill for Wolves to climb to come back into it. So Wolves desperately need a good start on the defence. I think they're going to be kicking things off down in the basement. It's going to be tank and assembly.
I always wonder like the fist bumps that team players do is like some go open hand, some go like fist. And I saw Citizen do it just then where he went open hand to Gunnar. Do you think that's because like, Gunnar gets excited sometimes and basically punches him?
Very possibly.
Just to go open palm to not lose his fingers.
Yeah, doesn't want any damage to like the keyboard.
I've always thought that because some coaches when they walk past them fist bump like really quite hard fist bump. I'm like, mate, they're playing a game that requires full control of hands and fingers. Like, what's going on? But for some reason, no one's ever broken their fingers yet. All in good time when people get too excited, I'm sure. But just an odd thought for the game. Here we go. Now this is the interesting part because you get to see a reverse of what we just spoke about at the end of the last half. Was okay then. I mean, not super ideal, but it is what it is. The EMP is on side to make this far easier than maybe it otherwise would be to get these opened up. But now we come back to that question I spoke about. What do Soniqs do from here? They need to go and clear that top floor or get Gunnar to go in through Animus, into tank, and just completely break the back line of this Wolves defense.
Exactly that. Rexon just misses his opportunity there. Siege timing being a wonderful thing sometimes. Mowgli manages to survive. Rexon's going to be trained on that line of sight for a little while, but I don't think he's going to get a second bite at that particular cherry.
Maybe not, no. Mowgli poking his head upwards towards control hall here. He's daring to find someone, and he'll find what he's after. There's someone watching the angle here as well. Just needs to be so careful that he doesn't lose his own life. And Rexon's going to back away at least a little bit, still hold off on the angle, but just being very mindful that Mowgli, kind of player that will swing that 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 10th time if he has to.
Worth pointing out that we've got a cat cannon play as well with Shinka. Always interesting to watch where those traps are. We saw a double stack on a door earlier, but it's just something to be remembered. I think they will be aware of Deadshot's position from that drone, so he's going to dip himself away. Meanwhile, Gunnar is in there, and this is the Soniqs' answer to the top floor clearance. Wolves struggled with it a little bit. The Soniqs have sent in the blitz. Gunnar's just going to race across top floor. Happy it's clear, drops down to ground floor, and he's going to move across there as well. When used well, the blitz can be a really good roam clearance tool.
Got P4 hanging out inside a kitchen as well. Hungry for a couple of early kills, it feels like. Gunnar going down already, at least drops it to his backside. It's Citizen finding Shinka though. Another entry kill coming in for Soniqs. Really getting the best of those in most of these rounds, Tim.
They are, apart from when Mowgli's able to step up and get one. It's pretty much going in the direction of Soniqs. Nobody else on the side of Wolves has actually had an entry kill, I don't believe. So just maybe needing to stretch the legs in that area a little bit more. Deadshot's getting aggressive here, pushes up, does manage to find one. Headshot onto Grixer. We have a little bit of a battle there. The timing just doesn't suit him as Citizen manages to find the kill. Rexon onto Bibu, 4 versus 1. It's all up to Mowgli. He gets one. Can he continue to find more? He's working out of the smoke, and he just comes out completely unseen and manages to do the damage. He's got the diffuser at his feet, and he's trying to fight up the hatch now. Mowgli, he actually has a real good position and only 10 seconds to survive.
But he's getting pushed on as well. Citizen with the low ground. Good team play coming out from Soniqs. Looks a bit scary there towards the end, but they do get the win up to 6-1. Where on earth are Wolves going to find this momentous comeback from, Tim?
I'm not sure that they can, if I'm honest. I think I said I really needed for me Wolves to win those first 2 rounds on defence. They needed to lock down 2 primary sites, get themselves back to 5-3, and then you can start thinking about the match as a whole. At 6-1, with the way Soniqs are playing, I'm just not convinced. They were really on top of them again there, even in the attack. They had the answers. You know, by contrast, if we look at the point that Fresh made about Wolves, how they were coming up against these problems and not having the answers, there, Soniqs had the answers straight away. They had the blitz to deal with the roamers. They, you know, had the utility they needed to deal with Mowgli at the end. He was full white flashed. He had no chance to deal with it, and it really did just look like a bit of a different beast on the attack.
Once he was flashed out there, it's easy for Citizen to get that drop in and just catch him on the same level, not even needing to wait on the hatch. Very good, clean stuff. And for Wolves, as I said, it feels like a bit too much for comeback at this point. I hate to really single out players, but like P4, for example, has been somewhat trying to play on that more aggressive angle at points, but he's at 1-7 right now. Bibu's 0-6. Fresh will be happy because he'll get that donut potentially coming out on his bingo card, but it's a pretty miserable affair, I think, outside of Mowgli. And yeah, somewhat Deadshot as well has been getting involved.
6-1 it is then. Soniqs have 5 match points in this Swiss today. It is, of course, best of one. If you're just joining us, we are on day 1 of phase 2, which is a Swiss format. Basically, to simplify it for you, what does that mean is it means that 3 wins will get you through to the next phase. 3 losses will see you out. So you've essentially got 3 lives, if you will. Soniqs are looking very good for their first. They just need 1 more round. They're going to be attacking this time onto Control Center. Wolves, they're going to have to start digging the heels in, Des. You know, there's basically no more mistakes left for them. There's no more opportunities. It's now or never.
It is, and a different one here being brought along in the form of the Hibana, who can just open up a couple of 2x Kairos holes if needs be out towards Aqua side or on towards construction and server side, connector and server side, sorry. Here it's just more about IT as a starting point. But Citizen's been taken down, that's those nades off the board, it's the boosts coming out of the Finca also taken away. Certainly not complaining, although you do still have a Monty to contend with.
You do, but he's been cheeky, suffering to the dread mine at the minute. Mowgli does manage to pick up 1. I'm not quite sure how Gio survives in that situation, to be honest. He's just being fully sort of blinded by the dread mine and somehow survives the shots, but is going to be taken down by P4's Nitro ultimately. Gunner's got the angle, though. He knows exactly where that defender is playing. Oh, no, does he? He's turned his back on the top of Aqua Stairs.
I mean, they're both
there. Gunner could hold them out of sight here if only he realises that's where they are.
They want to be there because the diffuser's there as well. It's top Aqua, and the attackers really have got no choice, and maybe they're expecting a flank to come on through here. I don't know. They're quite short on drones. They've got to win the gunfights, and sure enough, Gunner finds 1. You've got 1 wrapping around the outside as well. P4's got nothing to say about it. A very, very comfortable 7-1 victory for Soniqs.
Very comfortable indeed. The Soniqs locked that one up even when the 2 remaining Wolves players were stood on the diffuser. They still managed to find a way to break them down. Deadshot peeks out, gives them the opportunity that they need really, because once he's dead, they can push P4 in a 2-on-1 and guarantee themselves the kill. 7-1 in speedy fashion. Soniqs looking electric to begin with.
Aren't they just? And really for Wolves, it feels like the woes of play-ins continue. And you might turn around and say, well, they made it out of play-ins, so how can it be woes? They were 1 round away from not being here. They almost got brought down. What a story that would have been. But now that we're playing with the big leagues, it does feel like that was a bit of a stretch too far for the French side. Wolves, for me, were just a little bit static on that map, a little bit slow, and by absolute contrast, Soniqs everywhere, all the time, making full use of the map, really came in with a game plan here today.
Yeah, I mean, I know Nighthaven's a map that's been played in NAL quite a lot. I think probably more than on the EU side. Wolves just really didn't seem to have many sort of solutions, answers, or ideas, really. They just seemed a little bit short on what to do, essentially.
Well, Tim, over on the desk, we've got an interview ready with everyone's second favourite Brit after yourself, of course. It is Citizen. Let's head over there now.
Alrighty then. Well, our wounded Wolves being slashed by the Soniqs. All right, Gabe, you predicted correctly. A little off. 7-1, not 7-3.
7-3, 7-1. I mean, you guys kind of put me on the spot there. But how'd you win it overall?
Yeah, Citizen, really excited to have you here and chat with you. First question, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. 7-1 win, it's great. Great for the confidence.
Were you surprised by that map pick by them?
No, I kind of had a feeling that they'd want to go Nighthaven, given like how they've been banning and picking their maps. So,
were you surprised at their performance on it? I mean, you don't ever think it's going to be that easy of a game. And I mean, how you guys played that, it kind of spoke for itself. But again, you don't really ever think you're going to win a game 7-1.
No, I did think they'd put more of a fight up, but I think like my track record against them, especially in the recent years, has been like really good. So I think I just got the magic spell for him.
It definitely seemed like you all were playing more aggressively, especially Grixer and Gunner. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Like me and Gunner were trying to organize a lot of like flanks and stuff like that on the defense. So it's good that Pablo and other people were following up, and even when they'll die, it's still good. Like, seeing that they were willing to die for the team and stuff like that.
So were you worried, just even personal standpoint, of having the time off instead of some of these teams getting these reps in before playing these matches? Like, are you someone who prefers to get the reps, or do you like to chill and relax before these matches?
I actually don't mind. I know a few of my teammates, like, they care about, like, they want to play like early, but for me, I don't mind. I'll just play whenever.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. And then, so with this game overall, getting this 7-1, how does that then, there's not really, do you take a lot from this 7-1, or do you just go back and be like, all right, we just played a really dominant game of Siege, this was the result of it. This is why. Just move on to the next game.
I think just for us, so we go in there, like the confidence and the teamwork and the comms, they're all on point. I just think we just got to knuckle down and focus on that. I don't think like strats or anything like that is a big part for us. Like as long as if we're playing like that every game, I don't see why we can't go far, you know?
100%.
Quick question about the operator bans. This is just kind of floating around in my head. All the power defenders were open. Can you explain that to me?
Well, we did a bit of VOD review and we saw that they like to ban the bandit, and we was preparing for their bandit ban. So, you know, they kind of banned Ace, which actually helped us because we was going to ban something else for him. And then we, you know, kept the bandit ban because we knew, like, we played with the Mav already. We know how to play with that. I don't think these guys do because they banned it last time. So, you know, we just kind of went with that.
So would you say NA is better at Nighthaven than EU?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so after that one.
I just had to squeak that in there. NA is better at Nighthaven.
Oh my, oh my. Okay, well, fantastic victory. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Citizen. Gabe, amazing analyst as always, analysis. But let's take a look at the match summary really quickly and just deep dive into how that all went down. Man, smash them.
I mean, a 7-1 victory, I mean, that's the best you can ask for. I mean, 7-1 is even better, but the performance that Soniqs put up here, I mean, it's so important that a team like this is coming in. They did have that time off, as I was saying, and you'd think maybe some teams do need those reps. Not Soniqs. They come in here 7-1, clean sweep over Wolves. A little disappointing from Wolves. I mean, we got Fresh back on. I mean, we obviously wanted to give a little bit of hope that they were going to put a little bit of a fight. Didn't happen.
It's clearly an issue, isn't there?
What is the issue, though? I mean, I was teasingly saying Wounded Wolves, but after plans and then this, I mean, what's happening?
I think there's a few issues. I think first and foremost, map pool's an issue. You know, the fact that the new maps coming in didn't help them because they liked the old maps that went out. I think that's a big issue for them. They've tried to incorporate the new maps, haven't looked convincing on Consulate, haven't looked convincing on Nighthaven. And I think the second issue is I do wonder if they're operating at their ceiling. And what I mean by that is that they're very good in terms of teamwork, but they've got a very thin layer in terms of their strategic depth with strategy. And even on the new maps, they don't seem to be up to grips with it, which means teams are able to find them out a little bit. And I think Soniqs, like Ben said, they do their homework. They were ready for it. And, you know, I just think adding to that when you're playing poorly and you're performing poorly and you should have lost to, you know, Team Bliss, it all snowballed into a very, very bad performance.
Sure. Well, I do want to ask you this question just because you are from EU. Do you think that bank ban from Soniqs threw them off a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When I looked at these map bans, I thought we're heading maybe to a bank. But I also thought Soniqs banned very smartly. Just take Wolves' best 4 maps away. If they want to go to one of the new ones, which Soniqs are always going to feel comfortable on, let them. And if not, Wolves have got to go to a bad map.
Yeah, nope, I couldn't agree more. And that's why I said, like, that's why I wanted your insight on that, because this is all new for me with these EU teams. You know way more than me. So, yeah, I mean, seeing that ban, I mean, I was surprised that Soniqs did that, but I knew they're strong at Nighthaven, so ended up being forcing Wolves to pick Nighthaven, obviously resulted in a 7-1. So, I mean, that kind of scratches that.
All right. Well, my first match of the day done. Excellent job as always. But for all of you watching at home, we still have so many incredible matches ahead. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a little bit.